This is already going great, guys.
God.
This is already the best show we've ever done.
Yes.
This is top 10, honestly.
I was gonna do a low-key pun, but there wasn't enough options that were doable, let alone, good.
It was like watching two trains collide.
Yes, it
You
was.
know, that's the thing. I actually
It
had.
was very much like an intro chicken. Like, all right, who's gonna be the first one to say something stupid?
Well, and that's the thing. I even have a joke all set up, but nope,
Right.
nope.
Yeah. Yeah, you should tell that joke now. That'll be great. That'll work out real well. That'll
Yeah,
Yeah, well, we're nice and derailed.
Yeah, I'll save
Yeah.
it. I'll save it for the very end.
I can't wait.
You don't get your meat if you don't have me pudding, or is it the other way around? I don't know. I'll have to figure that out.
Who knows?
No,
If
you
my
can
understanding of
certainly
those words is correct. Yeah. Hey everybody. We're talking about Loki.
Hi, we're
Is
talking
that
about comic TV again. Isn't that fun?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, Marvel has pulled us out of retirement to talk about this again.
Every time I think I'm out, they pull me back in.
Also,
Yeah,
this is something that yeah.
Obviously, we're discussing going back to the DC well, I guess.
Says who, motherfucker? I'm not discussing.
You
shit
guys
about
are
that.
discussing.
Yeah. Well, no, I think we have a pretty cool approach to this.
That's cool.
I don't think it's as nightmarish as having to do a CW show for 24 episodes. I'm
God.
not even close.
No, we're intentionally not doing that. We're
have-
actively avoiding this.
I have nightmares about Savitar. I'll be honest with you.
I have zero interest in discussing any DC television at this point.
Yeah, I feel ya. Honestly,
yeah, the DC TV fan page just put up a post this morning. It was like, if I see the Flash Rider in the street, and it's just a gif of a kid slapping someone. It's like,
they deserve it.
damn.
They very much deserve it.
Yeah, I feel like that's why I've responded. I mean, outside of the shows being great, but I feel like that's why I've responded so positively to all of the Marvel stuff, just because it's like, oh, it's competent. Oh, it's not trying to fuck me after 6 episodes. This is great.
This is
right.
Say it again, but I think it's wrapping up now. But Superman and Lois is fucking awesome.
Right. Yeah, and that's what we've been hearing. So
I'll watch it some point, I guess.
Maybe.
Well, it should be bingeable pretty soon. I think it's wrapping up. I think it's only 15 episodes for the season, which is a godsend in comparison.
Right.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
And everything I hear is the production value is so much better. So much better.
The production value, like the stakes and like the entire family element and like all the, I guess like the family friendly content, I guess you'd call it, like CW used to lean on so much, is all competent and effective, and you care about it, as opposed to like, get Iris the fuck off my screen.
Stop killing my brain cells with this character that is not very well handled. And I'm putting that mildly.
And progressively worse handled, more poorly handled as seasons go on.
Well, now that we're done, yeah, going down memory road.
Now that we're doing that down memory lane, Loki.
Yeah,
it's great.
Fucking fantastic. There's almost too little to say about describing its quality because it's just so fucking interesting right from the jump.
Yeah, we're gonna try not to just list the moments that we really liked, but that may happen against our will. So yeah,
I mean,
this is really good.
Episode 1 is a fucking highlight reel of like notable clips.
It is, but it manages not to feel like that.
Exactly.
Yeah. Like it manages to still feel compelling and not just feel like, well, let's revisit all the things that you know about this character, in case you're somebody who has only watched some of the movies once, which is a real thing that I guess you have to consider. And they did a really good job. Erik, I know, but there are people who have only seen the 3 Avengers movies, the 3 Iron Man movies, and that's it. So like,
why? That's why
Well,
would you
4
do that?
Avengers movies. Yeah. I always even though they aren't technically part 1 and part 2, I still consider Endgame and Infinity War to be one movie. So, yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
I
I
can
can
see
kind
that.
of see that.
Yeah,
yeah.
I mean, just for the sake that it's telling one coherent story the whole time. Yeah, we'll let that go.
Yeah.
The Russian judges have given you a pass on it.
Yeah. Yeah. Putin
Yeah,
won't send me into the sun this week.
exactly.
Um,
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing with the first episode of Loki is like it's the first time we've really gotten to just spend a lot of time with Loki and in that sense Tom Hiddleston and seeing how fucking good an actor he is in this character. Like you can tell
oh, yeah.
how much he loves playing Loki.
Mhm.
And it
Yeah,
just
there's
it
these yeah.
Mhm. No, go ahead.
I was gonna say there are these moments where, it's just him on screen, and his presence and the way in which he inhabits this character, um, you look at it and you're like, "How did they not do this sooner?
Yeah.
How did they
Yeah.
manage to wait so long to do this?" Um, because he fully
He's also getting a
encapsulates who
shitload
this
out of
is.
like
Yeah.
he gets a shitload out of like minimal material too. Like
Mhm.
Mhm.
like he's on screen for 2 seconds and he's doing something interesting or funny or entertaining or something.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, and just I
Yeah.
mean, I think it's something like I know you've mentioned it in the chat, Connor, but I think you did at some point, Arlen. But just getting to watch in that first episode him go through like all the gambit of emotions,
Mhm.
like oh yeah, I know this is the part where I lost. It was whatever, excuse. Then seeing his mom dead, and just him going on this entire emotional range, and he's not even saying anything, but he does it so well.
Yeah.
Like it's shocking how good this show is so far.
Yeah. Yeah, his, the just again, like you just said, his reactions, and it's very subtle stuff, but it gives off so much. We see him grow and basically go through 3 movies worth of change all at once.
Mhm.
Um, and it's really, really spectacular. Yeah, just God, Tom Hiddleston is so good.
Yeah.
I think it's fair to say he's underappreciated, and that's
Yes.
not coming from a judging other people. That's something that I'm saying about myself because thinking back before, like Thor Ragnarok, I don't think I was quite as enamored with Tom Hiddleston as everybody else was. Um, and now I'm like, yeah, I was wrong though, because he's great. He's
Yeah,
fantastic in this role.
but Arlen, don't you see how handsome he is? Like,
Mhm,
look at him. Look at him.
mhm.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
I think the big thing for me at least was like in his appearances before Thor Ragnarok. It's like, all right, he does a good job as the Loki they're presenting in the MCU, but
Mhm.
he wasn't given enough to really work with to really
Right.
show like that he has a lot of range to this character. Like he was very one note in pretty much everything up until Thor Ragnarok.
Yeah. Yeah, I would
Yeah.
agree. Like they would give him these moments that give you hints of something that could be deeper and that you could spend a little bit more time with. Um, but yeah, like they would always just do just enough to keep him interesting and seemingly to keep Tom interested.
Mhm.
Um, but
Right, so
he
when
was
finally realized what
sent
they
to the
had.
yeah.
Yes.
Right, yes. Yeah, I think so. I think that there wasn't always an instinct though to do this. Like, considering what we know about the behind the scenes, which we don't have to go into a whole another memory road there, we know that there were forces that could have said, well, nobody would watch a show about a villain. Who would ever do
Yes.
that? Why would anybody care about that?
What do you
Based off
mean?
conversations
What do you
based off
mean?
conversations I've heard in the past.
What is
Right.
gender fluid?
No, that's probably an actual line that Ike Perlmutter has said before. Um,
Probably.
the
Probably.
other thing, the other thing we are forgetting though is that Thor Ragnarok was bad because it was funny. So
Yeah.
we should completely discount that.
I just wanted to. Well, on that note, I want to point out a certain person who has been a real grumble gus about the Marvel TV shows, who I will not name. I haven't seen him say a single thing about this show, and I think that's interesting. He hasn't had a single bad thing to say.
I have a name, Arlen. Jeez.
But yeah, so I
um,
mean, the first episode it covered a lot of ground, and I feel like they had to do that to
right.
explain this larger premise that they're trying to present, because I don't think they could just jump right into it and expect the average audience to just be like, "Oh, okay, that's fine."
hmm
Wait, did I hear somebody yelling in the background there?
You might have.
Oh no.
The homeless
The
man
SWAT
I keep in my
team's here.
closet. It's fine.
Oh no, I wasn't sure if somebody
The
that
SWAT team.
no, I just
No,
wasn't sure if it was Connor or Hunter, and their audio had dropped out for some reason.
no.
I like
no.
to stand in the back of my room and just yell into the microphone.
Well,
there's a meth addict I keep in my closet for entertainment.
Oh, okay.
Oh, nice, cool.
Just
Oh,
let
cool.
him out and just throw a hot dog at him or something.
Well, Hunter, on the note about you yelling from the other side of your room, there's been a few episodes we've recorded where I would actually believe that. So
That's why I said it.
Yeah, like any episode where you're clearly in bed and you're just talking into a microphone that's probably laying
Yeah,
next
dude.
to you.
yeah,
Yeah.
nothing but professionalism here.
Yeah, the
one
most
thing-
professional podcast.
I-
What were you saying, Eric,
listen.
before?
I'm a sleepy boy sometimes.
The other thing that I really fucking love about the show, and it's continuing obviously because it's the set design now, but that fucking 70s industrial look is my bread and butter. I fucking love that so much.
It's got that warm Legion feeling.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
in parts, yeah.
Aesthetically,
Yeah. The aesthetic is very similar, but it's just like I very much enjoy the whole retro future tech thing. I mean, we've talked at length off pod about how Control utilizes that to such a good degree, to such a large degree. And
well, yeah, that's brutalism. That's
Yeah.
the architecture design they're using with that particular game. But yeah, it
Yep.
just everything, like they've nailed it so well, and it doesn't look dated. It's such a good look for this show, and it makes
Right.
the TVA something that's understandable instead of having three giant space gods like basically
Right.
in control of everything.
There's a texture to all of it,
Mhm.
so that it feels like something malleable, something that you could reach out and grab.
Yes.
And we talked about this off air again. Like it feels like 70s and 60s sci-fi artwork
Yes.
that you would buy on like a paperback novel somewhere.
Especially that one
It
shot
very
where he
much
looks out
has
the
that
window.
vibe.
Yes.
Yes.
That was the
Yeah.
shot that sold me. I was like, okay, they got this 100% correct.
Yeah.
Like the only other thing that shot would have needed was like some Apollo rockets launching, and it would have been spot on for like an Asimov book.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, and then just the general vibe is very, and I'm sure I'm not the first person to have said this. This is not an original thought. It's very Douglas Adams. It all feels very British, which is not surprising. Kate Herron, who I believe is the director, worked on British television before this, and it just has that vibe to it. Meanwhile, it also has like this heavy comedic streak throughout both episodes. And again, a Rick and Morty writer has written the entire show, so that's why that's there. And it feels like a blending of a lot of really good, interesting things together in the best possible way.
There's no pickle Loki yet, though, unfortunately.
No, but here's the thing. There are moments in here that do remind me of that. Like, there are things that feel like callbacks to that. Like, the fact that Josta Cola is in the show so heavily so far. That feels like a rejected Rick and Morty joke. Like a bit that they would have in the background but never point out. Among other things that show up throughout the show so far.
Well, the other thing I've been so pleasantly surprised by was how good Owen Wilson is in this.
Oh yeah,
he's awesome. Fuck yes, he is. Him and
Yeah.
Justin have immediate perfect chemistry.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I still maintain that there's a Wes Anderson feeling to a lot of it, but my wife and I were talking about it, and I think it's just because Owen Wilson is so inexorably linked to Wes Anderson films in my mind that
Yeah.
anytime he's like talking quietly, I'm like, oh, this is like Wes Anderson conversations. Oh,
Mhm.
wait, no, it's just Owen Wilson and his fucked up looking nose.
Right.
Like,
Well, yeah. Well, I think there's also there are a lot of aspects to that. You got to remember that he's in Wes Anderson's first movie because they were like high
yeah.
school friends or something
Hmm.
like that. Um, so like their sense of humor and who they are as people is just it's linked.
Hmm.
It's automatically
So
linked. So
they smoke weed together, is what you're saying.
oh,
Yes.
Hunter, there are things that they shared.
Yeah, joints.
Right,
The boot.
joints.
The boot.
Joints. We'll leave it at joints and let you fill in the rest with your imagination of the things that they shared together.
Big
Um,
doobies.
Hunter, sound more like someone's uncle.
That Mary Jane. That sticky icky.
Those doobers.
Those dudes.
but the point is, I get the feeling that the cast had a lot of input in this show. I think that was where I was going with that, and I get the sense that he had a lot of input about his character. So it kind of makes sense that his character would feel very Wes Anderson-y because he is a big part of Wes Anderson's voice, as well as Wes Anderson is probably a big part of his voice. If
Well, yeah,
that
I mean,
makes sense.
he co-wrote like the first three bigger films that Wes Anderson did.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, so that actually makes sense. I just remembered that he co-wrote them, and then Wes Anderson said "fuck you" and wandered off to do his own stuff.
Well, he's still in them. He's still in.
Yeah, he
He's still
is.
popped up.
No,
Yeah.
I'm being harsh. I'm
We're
being
in this
melodramatic.
particular department of production, but otherwise we're fine.
Exactly. Well, I mean, he God, what was it? I forget the writer. Shit, the guy who was yelling at
Christian
it's
Bale.
like, no, not Christian Bale. No, it's the director who did I Heart Huckabees. I thought he wrote or helped write one of Wes Anderson's films. Anyways,
Oh, yeah. We don't need to go down that rabbit
yeah,
hole, but I know who you're talking about.
yeah, he was. I can't remember the actress he was yelling at, but she was in I Heart Huckabees. But regardless, yeah. Before we go into it, just Wes Anderson
David O.
rabbit
Russell?
hole. Yes,
Yes,
I thought
yeah.
David O.
Russell.
Russell wrote one of the films with Wes Anderson, but I might be incorrect. Maybe I'm
I
thinking
mean,
somebody else.
that sounds right. That's around the time where that kind of thing would have happened.
Never mind, it was
In
Noah Baumbach. Anyway,
Oh, that makes even more sense,
yeah,
actually. That
yeah, Spoon the Whale. Yeah, yeah. So Wes Anderson knows what the fuck's going on there. Like, there are times in the show that there are shots where I'm like, it looks like a bigger nose eating a smaller nose. Like, has he had more damage to it since we've last seen it?
maybe. I mean, we don't have to go into the darker aspects of his personal life, but things might have happened there. People can look that up themselves because I am not going to say what happened. That's his business. But things could have occurred to his nose. It might just be age. Who knows? Things happen. Yeah, but he's great. I really love him in the show so far. Um, there's something about the way that their energies bounce off of each other, and how like steady and slow Owen Wilson is, I guess, versus
Yeah,
like this rapid fire nature of the Loki character and Tom Hiddleston, and just the way that works off of each other. You know, I've heard a lot of interviews with Tom Hiddleston over the last few weeks, and there's one point where he talks about how when him and Chris Evans were working on stunt work for Thor, they talked about it as like a rock versus the wind, in how they were thinking about their battle strategy. Owen Wilson is like the mental equivalent of that. Like he's his intellectual equal, and he is like he's just very direct and very just pressing with the way that he just undoes Loki's Lokiness, and it's extremely entertaining to see Loki like drift around it, but still be extremely hurt by some of the things that he says, especially in the first episode. And it's just, I'm very excited that we have 4 more episodes of this, presumably because I just love how I love how they play off of each other.
Yeah. Well, it's not a teaming I would ever expect to work as well as it does, but
Right.
their casting director knocked it out of the park with this.
Absolutely.
That, and I'm sure Owen Wilson's like, well, yeah, I can get in on this and make a lot of money
And-
very easily.
Yeah, one of the things I really enjoy about their chemistry is that like Owen Wilson, like Mobius, has no time for Loki shit from Jump, and so he just dresses him down for the first half of the episode.
I love how Owen Wilson is just fucking sick of Loki shit. He's just this dude who's like, I can see right through you. Like,
Well, and that's the thing. Like, I mean, I don't know if there's anything else we really wanted to say about the first episode. Like, the second episode, you kind of begin to realize it's not quite as much him not having time for his shit and more like tough love, because he's like, no, I know you have this in you to be a better person / like the peak of your abilities. So like, prove it. Prove you can do this. He's like the dad that's like, I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed in this.
yeah.
Yeah. So I think it's funny that the first episode feels like it's a very psychological game, and it's him playing Loki. He's doing like a con on Loki, which is extremely funny because very few people can con Loki. And that's a lot of what his stuff is. And I love how they set up these little things about his character. And by the time he says the variant we're hunting, it's you, you're like, here we go. Let's go. Let's do it. I'm in. Fuck yeah. And I love the way that their interactions just it just makes that moment feel very impactful. I think the other things in the first episode, unless anybody else has other thoughts about the two of them, we should maybe talk about a little bit about the TVA. We can maybe make that its own section if we want to, but if we have sort of opening thoughts about the TVA and what they mean to the MCU, we do not have to discuss the paperweights or debates because
It's a stupid argument. Yeah.
But if anybody has thoughts, I think we can voice them here.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So
No, go ahead.
They're the most powerful people in the MCU. Like full stop.
Yeah.
Like
they are.
They they could essentially fold Thanos immediately if he came back.
Yeah, I mean, talking some people at work, like the way I'm viewing the TVA is like they are capital G God. Like, while everyone else that we've seen in the Marvel Universe has been like the most powerful ones have been like lowercase G's. Like, they are on a level of power that we have not actually seen in the MCU at this point because they're so far above everything else.
Yep.
And I love the animated like introduction video to show you about the timekeepers and how the TVA came about, because it had that super 70s like late 70s early 80s aesthetic to the animation, and I fucking ate it up. I loved it.
Yeah, I love Miss Minute.
Strong voicing
voicing. Yep.
Who's I think we need to be watching Miss Minutes. We need to be really like looking and paying attention to what's happening with her, because they're doing something with that. Miss Minutes is more than I think meets the eye. I pointed out, having rewatched it, she's in the title credits. She's one of the buttons on the elevator. She's just an entire button. No letters, no anything. It's just Miss Minutes, which is fascinating considering how big the floors in the TVA are.
Well, I thought somebody had said in passing that she had her own floor, like at one point in the show. So I did not remember that, but yeah, that makes sense. Yeah,
well, guys, it turns out she's Mephisto.
Yes.
Exactly. No, but I wouldn't be surprised if she is the timekeeper to some degree. She's
Magneto.
Yes, she's all of the X-Men. She's the entire X-Men continuity.
She is. She is House of X.
She's Sue Storm too.
This does speaking of that stuff, not in like more serious light, like this does kind of open the door a lot into like playing around with that kind of stuff.
For
I'm not saying
everything.
it's going to, because like
Mhm.
yeah, like it's
Oh,
most
no,
basically just like okay, it's carte blanche to do whatever they want now.
Yes.
Essentially.
the way that they've set things up so far, whether you're talking about things that were already established in WandaVision or things established in this show, they've set the rules so that whatever happens after the fact, however they decide to change things or use what they've already established to alter events in this universe or change the history of this universe, it would all make sense. Whatever they decided to do, I would accept almost anything based off of what they've already put out there. And then you add on to whatever they might be adding in Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, written by the same writer as the show. There's a lot of possibilities there. And I'm very excited with all of that. Because they have so many different pathways that they could go down. And I think all of it could be interesting.
Well, literally, they have an infinite number of pathways they could go down because all they have to say
Yeah.
is an alternate timeline got mixed back into the holy
Right.
timeline, whatever it is, and there you go. There you go.
Yeah.
Everything is all your issues about continuity are solved. Like,
Exactly. Exactly. And like there are things that they could reveal further about how timeline resetting works. Like, does a reset timeline actually go away, or is it just stopped or stored somewhere? Like, there are things that they could establish where you could be like, oh, okay, well, that's why this thing changed because of X, Y, and Z, and they've already built it up in a way that I would accept it because they've made the rules, I think, very clear so far, and they're following them very clearly.
Mhm.
I do have a few questions about how the time reset bombs work based off of the ending of episode 2, but I assume at this point that they will answer my questions very quickly at the beginning of episode 3. Because Michael Waldron has said that they thought about this a lot, and it was the main topic of concern as they were making the show. Which I appreciate that. I
Yeah.
appreciate people who really respect that we want rules and we want rules that make sense.
No
Well,
more
especially.
writing until we figure out how these fucking doodads work.
Well, and that's the thing. Like time travel, the best time travel based entertainment always has a very strong set of rules that they follow. Like
Yeah.
you can't really just kind of say whatever when you
Right.
have time travel involved, or it shows. It shows
Right.
later on down the line.
Yeah, you need to at least follow your own internal rules. If you're gonna, like Looper is a great example of that. Like it
Yes.
follows its own rules completely. It never
Mhm.
deviates from them. And it's an
I'm-
extremely successful film for that reason.
I would say Primer does, but I still don't 100% understand that movie, so I will just I'll defer to presumably smarter people.
Anything
Mhm.
you don't understand is bad.
Yes.
Right.
Okay. Okay. Well,
Exactly.
then Primer's a bad movie. All right.
If
Cool.
if
Got it.
anything
Mhm.
if anything is weird or not like normal, it's bad. Don't you know?
Oh, okay. Oh, so
Okay.
nothing should challenge us ever. I see. I
No,
see.
you should never be challenged. Everything should be exactly the way I expect it to be.
Yeah, don't
Okay.
expect
Mm,
standards of quality from your entertainment ever. Don't
No.
ever,
Nope.
ever assume that you have the right to say this can be better.
Yep.
mm,
Look at you,
mm.
wrestling
Okay.
fans.
Okay. I'm looking at all the people who have abused wife syndrome when it comes to CW shows.
No, I was talking about people who are like Death Stranding's bad because it's weird, but it
Mm,
applies to all of this,
yeah,
honestly.
it does. It does. Yes, it
mm.
does.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, season 2, episode 2 of Loki. I don't know, where do we want to
Season
start
2
with
of
that?
Loki, we're burning through it real fast.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's 2-episode seasons.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't know. Does anybody have anything from episode 2 that they really wanted to point out outside of the big reveal at the end?
Let's see.
Loki being very happy with himself whilst demonstrating the entire apocalypse scenario
Mm-hmm.
is damn good
Yeah.
TV.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like all of that. I like the whole investigation aspect. I like him. I mean, I like him figuring. I really like him as like the protagonist. It's very entertaining to watch him like trying to do something morally not objectionable. um, at least for him. But still, the way that he would go about it. And I just like, again, like we keep on saying, Tom Hiddleston is a fantastic actor, and those moments where he's putting it all together and figuring out where the other him or the other version of him would be, um, he just sells it so extremely well. And his energy when he's trying to explain it to Owen Wilson is absolutely perfect.
Who is so
Um,
preoccupied with the fact that Loki has stolen his salad that he's not
Mhm.
really listening.
Which was the tiniest salad on the face of the planet, like that
Everything
bowl.
about yeah, okay. Everything about his meal is just strange but very interesting to me because like even the salt and pepper shakers are the tiniest little salt and pepper
Yes.
shakers I've ever seen. The bowl is tiny and like everyone just drinks these weird like just plain fucking cartons and cans.
yeah. Yeah, it's it just made me think of Aliens when we see Ripley's apartment, and those like super fucking tiny coffee cups. Um, yeah, it's just like, okay, this is very strange. This is a very odd choice. But I guess this
Well,
is how the TVA does things.
well, that was something that I meant to bring up because when we were having a chat about the first episode, I think
Mm,
on the group chat, it I was led to believe, and maybe I'm incorrect, but the way they
mm.
describe the TVA is that basically they're just an extension of the timekeepers, correct?
Yes, yeah,
So
but yeah,
so
basically.
basically all of these things are like cells, and it doesn't
Oh,
matter what they do because they're all just an extension of the timekeepers, and it's just a facade to make
mm.
people feel better or ease them into how the keeping of the holy time or the sacred timeline is kept. Am I
I think
incorrect in that?
so. I don't want to say that you're incorrect because I think there are some reveals coming down the line that will contradict that. But I do think that that's a good assumption based off of the information presented in the first episode. I think that we're gonna get some information that suggests that these are people who like they were all variants at some point. Like they're
Mhm.
like I wouldn't be surprised if they're all like recompiled, recycled variants. Um, like people have been talking about the possibility that Mobius is a clone. I don't think it's that Mobius is a clone. I think that Mobius is a variant, and we might run into
Well,
other
in
Mobiuses because there are other variants, and so on and so forth. Um, and they're
well
basically just
in the comics, he is a clone,
yes, yeah,
and
yeah, yeah. I know that's where that comes from.
but like,
Um,
but like, I don't know if I particularly believe that in terms of Loki. I like,
right.
No,
Yeah,
I think
what,
them being
what they
very
set up
is probably
doesn't.
spot
Yeah.
on.
Yeah, because it goes with the whole the bit that is in this episode with him and Ravina about how who's this other favorite analyst that I haven't met. It's probably another version of Mobius. Um uh who again was who was a variant at some point. Um
I could see that.
and
Yeah.
it's
yeah.
and it's Luke Wilson.
Regarding this is the other
That
one.
would be fantastic.
Regarding the timekeepers, I got, and I don't see this very often in like, especially anything modern, but like the setup
Mm,
reminds me a lot of the Soul Reaver arc over Soul Reaver 1, 2, and Defiance, where you have
mm,
this authority in the Elder God who is like, "Hey, Raziel, do me a solid," and then sends him after Kane. But the whole time the Elder God's manipulating everybody. He's kind of omnipresent and omniscient, and there's no such thing as free will in Legacy of Kane. And in this, you have the Time Masters who just secure themselves away in some fucking room or chamber or pocket dimension and just make decisions
mm.
about everyone's path. So I'm kind of on team. Let's blow up the timekeeper.
Yeah, I kind of am. I kind of am there also. Again, I think we're gonna get reveals about the timekeepers. I don't think there are timekeepers. Maybe I think that's a
Ooh.
possibility. Like
What if
I'm really this
we
miss.
are the timekeepers?
It was miss minutes all along, guys.
Yeah, we
Uh,
are the timekeepers all the time.
yeah.
Yeah.
Because
We
it feels like
we truly are
there's.
the Final Fantasy 13.
I do want to say
What are
the
we,
people
some
who are
kind
like
of Loki?
the people who are like, well, one of the keepers is Kang. I don't know about that because again,
No.
I don't know if there is a keeper.
Uh,
They and again, this is something to remember. Marvel likes to do a version of the comics, but they
Yeah.
really like subverting things at the last minute. It's
Yeah.
one of their favorite
Yeah.
things. Like the Skrulls, they're evil, they're terrorists, blah blah blah. Blah. Cut to they're just people trying to run away from a genocide, and that example goes far back into the MCU. Nothing quite as extreme as that before that, but there are many moments like that littering the MCU's history. So I don't feel like the timekeepers are just the timekeepers. There's something going on. There's some sort of thing that we're going to learn about them that changes how we think about them. I mean, this is the company that made Shield Hydra, so
Yeah.
it's hard for me to believe that they're just the timekeepers and that Loki isn't. I don't think he's completely correct, but his instincts are correct. I think his distrust for the concept of the timekeepers is on point. I think.
Well, that, and I think it was just the timekeepers we made along the way.
Yeah,
Damn you.
we truly are the Loki.
I,
We are Loki.
so yeah, it felt like with the second episode, they were basically just like, all right, we explained everything we need to explain in the first episode.
Yeah.
Let's go. And it kind of jumped right into the action of them like doing what they fucking do.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah,
I don't know, I appreciated that quite a bit.
Mm-hmm. It felt like I mean it felt like a perfect encapsulation of what a lot of the shows that this episode feels like. Like it feels a little bit like a Hannibal, primarily, and then other shows sort of in that vein. Like it's just like he's investigating a case and he's trying to figure it out, and I think that's just all really well handled. But again, like there's an underlining sense of humor and a basis in characters that just makes it really compelling. I think by the time we get to Rock's Cart, which is the continued teasing of Roxxon that they will never fulfill.
The background entity that won't go away.
Yes, it's gone past being annoying and it's become all right. I see what you guys are doing here. This is fun. But yeah, the whole Rock's Cart situation is really interesting. I like the way that all of those actors who play Floki for a couple moments, they all do a spectacular job. Um, um, uh, and by the time we get to the actual person playing Floki, she herself is instantly very interesting based off of almost no screen time. And yeah, I just love all of that. I love that. I love Loki being irritated by Loki, and that goes both ways. That's utterly fantastic. Because of course Loki would be entirely irritated by himself. It's the Doctor Strange does not get along with Tony's situation all over again, or Loki does not get along with Doctor Strange's situation. So yeah, all that stuff is really good.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised how quickly they pulled out female Loki. Like, I figured that was going to be a reveal. I mean, mind you, it's only 6 episodes, so it makes sense they would do it sooner rather than later. But
Right.
I kind of expected that to be a bigger reveal later. Like,
Yeah,
possibly another variant of Loki being female and working with an older Loki.
I at least didn't expect it to be a reveal to our Loki. I expected that would be maybe a reveal to us, the audience, and that he would learn in episode 3 or 4. But doing it now I think it's way more interesting.
Yes.
I assume the next episode is going to be a lot of them like figuring each other out, us learning about who this version is. I have a lot of thoughts that I don't know if they will actually mean anything or if they'll just be completely useless in the next episode. Female Loki's plan after a second watch, it reminded me a lot of Loki's plan in the first Thor movie. Does anybody need like a refresher on that, or are we all kind of good on that?
I haven't
I
watched
don't
Thor
know.
in about 4 years.
Yeah. Yeah, my memories of the first Thor are paper thin at best.
All right, I'll give a little Susan. At the end of that movie, he plans to destroy all of Jotunheim using the Rainbow Bridge, and there's a presumption that he might even go further and just use it to destroy a bunch of other planets too. Um, and he's in full "I will kill millions" genocide mode at the end of that movie. And I don't know why, it reminded me
Like
of that.
people Loki.
Right. Yeah, it just felt like full on "I will destroy everything, burn everything" Loki. Um and yeah, this plan reminds me of that because again, based off of what they've established about the time charges, this Loki is just destroying trillions of people, if my understanding is correct. And I think that the TVA can reverse that, but I'll be very fascinated to see how this actually affects things and what this does to the flow of time and so on. Because this is a heavy death toll plan. Um, so yeah, I'm very curious to learn what the backstory is and why this Loki felt inclined to do that. Because Loki doesn't do that. Like Loki is, I mean, they've established this in the first episode. Loki's murderous rampage comes from inadequacy and feeling like they need to do it for some reason. Like there's some purpose, something that is pushing them, and I'm very curious if
Yeah,
we
he
see
has
that
been retconned
reflected.
to be under the
Yeah,
influence of the Mind Stone.
right.
Hmm.
Well, yeah, and even what they established in the first episode, Loki is very insecure, and his insecurities are a lot of why he did the things that he's done. On top of the Mind Stone, among other things. So I'm very curious to see how that projects into this other version of the character.
Yeah, no, I mean it'll be interesting to see because I mean that's one of the nice things about the show so far, and I'm hoping they continue with the runtime of each episode being almost an hour. Is that it feels like it has a lot more room to breathe, even if it is
Yeah,
only like what 10 minutes longer than Winter Soldier was, or not
yeah,
Winter Soldier, sorry, Falcon Winter
10
Soldier.
minutes is a lot.
It is.
Like, I mean, for a very quick and dirty comparison, any network show is 45 minutes. HBO shows usually come in around 54 minutes.
Hmm.
HBO shows feel insanely long sometimes.
Yeah,
There are HBO shows where I get to the 45-minute mark and I'm like, "Oh wow, there's another 10 minutes left." And those 10 minutes can be filled with a lot of stuff. The
yeah,
density that those 10 minutes can contain. So that's a lot of Loki there. And there's a lot that they can put there. And from what I can tell, from what I've heard, all the other episodes are approaching the same length.
okay,
Um,
good. Because I feel like this next episode we're going to probably get quarter of the episode, if not half of it, is going to be explaining female Loki's backstory.
Probably. We'll at least get hints and bits and pieces, because there's a lot to explain. People have pointed out that her name is Sylvie, um,
What?
as according to the credits. Um,
Sylvie?
yeah, she's credited as Sylvie, which is interesting because I guess that's also the name of Enchantress in the Marvel universe.
Oh, Sylvie.
Interesting.
Yeah, yeah.
Interesting.
So there's a lot going on there. There's a lot of stuff there. It would explain why she's like, "Don't call me Loki."
Okay, because looking at IMDb, she's only listed as the variant.
Yeah, she even Wikipedia has the same thing. But I guess in the full credits for Disney Plus, when you wait for the amazing credit sequence that they built, the credit sequences for all these shows
Yes.
have been pretty great. But this one is really good.
Well,
Um, uh,
something else,
yeah,
real quick. Looking at the cast on IMDb, somebody we haven't seen yet is Richard E. Grant. He
yeah.
is uncredited for, or he doesn't have a character yet on his credits for the show.
Mhm.
My guess is that the variant or female Loki or whatever isn't actually Loki, and Richard E. Grant is going to be the actual Loki, the actual variant that they've been trying to find.
I could see it. I could definitely see that. I mean, they've established um that this Loki can inhabit other people's bodies. It
Mhm.
could be Loki is inhabiting the Enchantress's body as like his main host of sorts because that character has natural abilities that are useful. And it's Richard E. Grant, so it could be Loki that is at the very tail end of his life.
Mhm.
There are a number of things that they could be doing with that. He could also just be an entirely separate Loki. We don't know. I'm very
Yeah.
curious. I'm very
Yeah.
curious. Richard E. Grant, of course, is fantastic casting
Yes.
for Loki. So
Yes.
yeah.
Yes. He would be perfect for it.
Did he pop up in Star Wars?
Yes, in that third one, as like
That third one.
I, I refuse to
That
acknowledge that movie past that. Yeah, he's in that one as like I was there during the Empire.
He was
Blah
there?
blah blah. Yeah, yes, he
no.
Sure
was
you
there.
were, Richard.
He
Yeah,
was.
wasn't he the one who shot General Hux?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. You could
Yeah.
say anything, Eric, and I would agree with you. I'd be like, yeah, that happened. That happened in that movie. Sure, why not? Yeah, this is in between going on holidays with Paul McGann in his uncle's uh, little cottage out in the wilderness. That was a reference to With Nail and I that no one will understand. But I
God,
got it in
okay.
there.
That sounded like an impenetrable reference.
What?
I thought you said the name of the movie, and then I realized you were talking about With Nail and I, which I probably haven't seen in like 25 to 30 years.
The
So
reference I need to be
Yeah.
like 85 to understand.
No, Hunter,
no.
how dare you? How dare you, Hunter? Um anyways, yeah, I'm very curious to see what they do with this character. I have no idea what episode 3 is really going to be.
No.
But I'm excited.
Well,
Yeah,
that's
DiMartino was already super interesting in whatever this role is, so yeah.
that's something I wanted to bring up is like I noticed that since it's releasing on Wednesdays, the amount
Mm.
of time that people have to get spoilers out feels like it's very slim. Because
Mhm.
with all the other shows, like I felt like I was dodging stuff all week, and with Loki, like
Right.
I haven't had a single spoiler hit me yet.
Yeah, I think there's a
Same
lot
here.
there.
I haven't had anything assault my eyes yet.
Yeah,
Mhm. I think
yeah,
it's the middle of the week aspect of it. Fewer people are like, I'm just gonna like take off in the morning, or I'm gonna
mhm,
call in early or late because it's Friday, and people are more okay with that. I think more people are like having to go to work and stuff on a Wednesday and not being able to talk about spoilers and yeah, so I think that plays a part in it.
Good.
And
but
I,
even
yeah.
like IGN and places like that maybe
Mhm.
don't intend to spoil something but still do anyways. Like I haven't
Right.
even had any of that happen where like there's a headline that's like, "Oh, you idiots. Like why would you write that?
Yeah.
You told me everything." Like it feels like maybe I was incorrect on why they moved it to Wednesday, and it's more like, "All right, we don't want to have anything spoiled. Let's do it on Wednesdays."
I think there's a couple aspects. I think that is part of it. I think they realized that like the news trickle would be much slower, so people can really settle in and enjoy it. Um, I like it personally because there was almost a pressure put on
Mhm.
WandaVision and Falcon and the Winter Soldier having it be on Friday. It's the end of the work week. You're like, I need something to unwind and to make my day great. This is like, oh, that's right, Loki is out, and it's almost more
Mhm.
of a surprise. And I think that helps it quite a bit.
Yeah.
Not that I haven't liked the other shows, but I don't know. My experience with the show so far is like, oh, cool. There's a Loki. I can just do this now. I can just watch this and not have to think about it, and not put as much psychic pressure on the show being good. I guess.
Here's $5.
I mean,
Go get yourself a Loki.
right.
Go
Exactly.
see a Loki.
Yeah, just go see him smile. Just just smile up a storm, especially in this episode. Just so many Lokis smiling at each other. Everybody
Are you,
doing Loki impressions.
are you telling us something without telling us something about yourself, Arlen? Are you having an awakening over Loki?
I mean, I might be. I
I
might.
mean, he is
There's a
dreamy.
possibility.
Oh,
Tom
mean-
Hiddleston is dreamy. I'm just
no
saying.
judgment, no judgment whatsoever. He's a handsome man who's very charming.
I
But I
mean,
just
to say that I watched the movie High Rise many times on mute, I don't like that movie. But I like things in that movie.
You know what he
Would be
means.
Yeah, no, I High Rise I did not really enjoy that much as
I watched it.
yeah.
I don't remember it at all.
I couldn't get
Yeah.
into it, but
yeah.
I watched
Tom
the first 5
Hiddleston.
minutes and then was like just fell off of it.
I mean,
That's
in
fair.
in its defense, J.G. Ballard can be somewhat impenetrable, at least the stuff that I've read from him. So I can understand why trying to adapt one of his books
Yes.
doesn't work that
Yeah.
well.
And that
Can't read,
director
so.
is
Well, you're good
that,
then. Don't worry about it, Hunter.
yeah, that director is interesting. I'll say to say the least. He's an interesting fellow.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, if you want to see some parts of Tom Hiddleston, High Rise is a good place. If you want to see some stuff. Anyways, this has been the High Rise corner. Yeah. I guess, do we want to do like speculation stuff? Because I don't have a lot else to say.
Yeah.
All the X-Men are gonna show up.
Yes.
Mephisto's gonna be there.
Yes.
What
The
else? What else?
other than the Vesuvius stuff is really funny. I thought that was hilarious both
I
times that I
bring
watched
you
it.
dark tidings.
Yes. Yeah. I honestly I don't have any guesses on where this is going to go because
Yeah,
it could literally go anywhere, and I'd be like, okay, that works.
exactly.
works.
Like, we could say something and it could be right, and then immediately prove it wrong the next episode. Like, it could come true and then immediately be undone. So like, I don't know. Expect the unexpected with this show. Expect some chaos going forward. Like I said, I'm very curious to see how they wrap up the whole Loki blowing up seemingly the entire timeline stuff. I'm very curious how that plays out. So
Well, I know this was something that we had talked about in the chat, and I know you had brought up before, Connor, was I am intensely curious to see some of the stuff like the Avengers Tower completely in rubble, like and what looked like
I am.
Nat sitting in that like purple landscape.
Yeah, I'm frothing at the mouth for an explanation to all those visuals because
Mhm.
it looks too much like what I think it is, and I need some clarification.
Well, what do you think it is?
It looks like Nat. It looks like Earth. It looks
Yeah.
like after something awful has happened, but like have Scarlett Johansson show up in Loki would be fucking ridiculous. Like it's insane to me.
Well, I mean, it would tie in well with them knowing that Black Widow was going to be released.
Yeah, but and this is also the same company who was like, yeah, fuck it, use Luke Skywalker. Who cares?
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
exactly.
But she's a woman, so like, why?
Well,
Why?
yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, she's the last one left because she couldn't do anything. Kind of like how
Right.
female Loki is going to fail because it's female version of Loki, and we all know women can't do magic.
Well, women can't do magic. They can't fight creatures.
Yeah.
This is getting so big.
It is. It is. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, maybe they should learn to do some things.
Yeah, maybe they should. learn how to
Maybe
do
they
it.
shouldn't just be bodies that take up space.
And produce children. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. This bit is almost becoming destructive to our actual lives, and we should stop it.
No.
My name is Leonardo Talavera, and I think women can't do anything.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Yeah.
Leo.
He's not Leo. Yeah, I don't. Did anybody else have anything they wanted to say about where they think the show is going to go?
I mean, I've kind of been hinting at it. I think we're gonna learn that a lot of this is bullshit. Um, yeah, I think that they've said a lot that feels too clean and too precise. It's too easy, to put it very, very simply. And it just doesn't feel right. So yeah, I think we're gonna learn some things about the timekeepers and how they actually work. Um, yeah, yeah. So if you guys want to do the other stuff you were
Well, I
talking,
mean, did Hunter or Connor have anything they wanted to say? Don't
Honestly,
steamroll over them.
honestly, I just kind of I like the show a lot, but like I don't have a lot to say because I feel like I'm kind of just waiting for it all to play out.
Hmm.
right?
Because to me, it's
Yeah,
like okay, this is all very interesting, but like I'm kind of so enthralled by it that I'd rather just see what happens and speculate.
Yeah,
hmm
I
Yeah,
completely understand that.
I don't feel like spinning my wheels so much as trying to figure everything out. Like I'm kind of okay with the
right.
ride as it is.
Yeah,
Yeah,
letting
Yeah,
it just wash over you.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been. I would say it was the case in the previous two, but in this one especially, it feels like I trust you guys. I trust these people to deliver something good and interesting. And I don't really need to think about it too hard. Um,
I
yeah.
I think some of that too might be because we know this is going to be their not their last, but we're not going to see another TV series from them for a little while.
no,
So we're
Right.
all kind of like, oh god, we've got to make this last, and it better be fucking good. I don't want to ruin it
Mhm.
by over speculating or having anything ruined.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, and I honestly, I think that this is the one where I don't think the whole finale problem thing is gonna be a thing in this
no,
one. I think that
probably
that's
not.
gonna end with this one. Um, and I think that like you know everybody involved in this is maybe the most well equipped for the job, as far as I can tell. Not again, not putting down anybody involved in the previous two shows. I mean, I think Jack Schaefer did a fantastic job with WandaVision, and I can go on and on about the other shows. But I think that this is the show where all of the parts seem like the best possible people for the job, and it's
Hmm.
the best possible character to give a show to. Um,
Yeah,
yeah, so like I don't think that they can screw this up, really. Um, because I feel like everybody is so well equipped for what has to happen. Um, yeah, I'm just excited. I'm very
So
excited.
that
I'm
news
very
is that they
excited to
hired Scott
see.
Buck to finish up the series.
Yes.
no,
Right.
no, don't say that.
No,
Stop.
they hired
Yes.
Scott Buck. They brought Ike Perlmutter back
Hmm.
to be a consultant,
Yes.
and they
No, no,
hired
fire them again.
Joss Whedon for the last 10 minutes of the finale.
Mike Perlmutter is the real villain of Black Widow.
I hate that.
It might be much
It's gonna
closer
end
than
with
you think.
it's gonna
it's
end
just Mhm.
with her drop kicking Ike Perlmutter off a cliff.
I
I
mean,
it's going to end with her fighting over office supplies and then stealing food from craft services to another movie.
you
Eating
can
at
only
Subway
have
quick.
one Subway sandwich, you dumb broad.
He has the only Black Widow toy in existence. He's like, you'll watch me destroy this, because nobody buys girls.
Mhm. He's just melting part of it every day. Um. So yeah, I guess Hunter, did you want to talk about E3 at all?
Yeah, I mean, I talk a lot about it on the upcoming episode of Comic Club, but I'm down to talk again because there's a lot I like about E3.
Well, yes. Yeah.
uh, so okay, a lot of people are like, this E3 is bad, and I don't know if I necessarily agree. Bad
I
is a little strong.
I 100% disagree with that sentiment.
I think it was okay. I think it was like better than what we could have gotten in a fucking pandemic year.
Yes.
But yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff. Guardians of the Galaxy. That's one thing I'm really excited for. Like,
Yes.
IDOS Montreal making a fucking cool looking Guardians of the Galaxy game that's basically just Mass Effect with Star-Lord.
I don't know if that's the case though. I mean, it looks like it's going to be more action oriented than Mass Effect
Yeah,
was.
it's definitely is, but like it's got the dialogue wheel and like
Okay.
it's very much like Eidos Montreal, like, oh, we can make one of those type games.
Well, I mean,
Uh,
I thought the dialogue wheel existed in the Deus Ex games too.
it does. It's not the same though.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't see any of the gameplay trailers for Guardians of the Galaxy. I only saw the trailer.
Yeah, they showed a villain, like the first villain that they're showing off is Lady Hellbender, which is like a deep cut.
Jesus. Okay.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's cool as fuck. I can't wait for this game.
I don't even know who that is.
Yeah,
I've got no idea.
I'll find a picture for you.
she's a big muscle lady who has a giant hammer and collects monsters. Yeah. What else? What else? That's the whole Square Enix conference was really funny because like they showed nothing but Guardians of the Galaxy.
Like Capcom's. Okay, cool.
Man, Capcom was awful because all those games are all out essentially.
Yep.
Here's what we have out. You can play right now. Go do it.
Yep.
We made a bad conference, PD.
So I do have a thing to say about the Capcom thing. Just as an outside observer, you have all this positivity right now, and you have nothing to say whatsoever. You're riding like probably the biggest high that they've ridden in, I don't know, 10 plus years. And like, yeah, that seems like a bad decision. Like, announce things that you don't even have ready yet. Anything.
That
right
all
now
could have been a tweet. It all could have been a
right
tweet or at the Nintendo Direct.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because all those games are Nintendo games, except for they announced that they're doing DLC for Resident Evil 8, which duh.
Yeah, great.
Sure.
Cool. Okay. Capcom was such a nothing burger. Like I did not give two shits. Like
Right.
I wish I had those 30 minutes back, honestly.
I mean, and again, considering the goodwill that they have right now, they could have announced anything. They could have announced new like skins for Lady D, and like a mode where you can play as her, and it would have gotten like so much positive attention.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
They could have done another CG trailer for something, and I'm like, all right, cool. Yeah.
Yep.
It would have been something, but like they didn't. Especially like when their press release mentions like Pragmata and like all this shit that they have announced, and like, oh, we're gonna see Pragmata, or like we're gonna see the RE4 remake or whatever. Like, man,
No.
it's a great company who has zero clue on how to market anything.
You just said RE4 remake, and I'm crying inside because
Me
my
too.
god.
I hate that. Like,
Me
RE4
too.
is available on so many consoles. It's not even.
It is.
And it's
It is
still
one
great.
of the best
And
games
it's
ever
still-
made, and they're like, we're remaking it. Like, fuck off.
It still plays better than games released 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
God.
It's not a broken game by any means. I understand remaking 2 and 3, but wow. Oh my god.
For me, mind you, it kind of was the biggest thing at E3, but I think Microsoft knocked it out of the fucking park.
Yep. They did.
I don't think anybody else came even close to all of the things that they announced and showed. And it's what I've been saying in the chat is like the promise of Game Pass is finally coming true.
Oh, dude. It is becoming like, if you like at this point, if you don't have Game Pass, you're stupid, because like there's so much on it. Like I'm like, I open it up and I'm looking at it right now, and like the scroll bar is like taking forever to get to the bottom. Like there's so much on it, and there's so much coming to it.
Yeah, I've already got Hades pre-downloaded, and that new D&D Dark Alliance game downloaded, and just it's kind of crazy the value proposition that is at this point. And with them then announcing like, God, what else was there? Fuck.
Redfall,
Yes,
the
Redfall,
coolest shit ever.
and then just also showing us Starfield. I mean, mind
Yeah.
you, it was a trailer and being like, yeah, it's exclusive. Sorry, deal with it.
11 years to the date of Skyrim, by the way.
Yep. And
Great.
also, oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was about to say it's crazy because like I was under the impression that they weren't going to show anything until they had like something like a whole walkthrough to show their new engine. But
Whatever. I'm willing to wait. Next E3 is going to be crazy for them.
Yep.
But yeah, seeing like that Todd Howard, people were saying like, oh, he apologized for it not being on all consoles, and he's like, no, I'm apologizing to the people that are upset, but I'm not apologizing for the fact that it is a exclusive for Microsoft. Like,
and they really don't need to apologize.
no, they don't. They don't.
Like, get over it.
We got a nice look at Hellblade 2 as well, and that was the big thing.
Yeah, that was they had another showcase and they showed a couple other things. It looked cool. I mean, I didn't watch the whole thing because like I was kind of busy that day. But Microsoft is promising that they're going to make this a console worth having, and I think that's what they need to do.
Yeah. And I know Lou always brings up in the chat, like, I just don't understand why anybody needs to get this system. Like, I get it, a lot of stuff is on PC, but for me, like, I don't want to have to deal with any of the particular issues that could pop up with a PC. You need to update your driver, you need to do this. I want to be able to buy a box that plays the games that I want to play, and then I also have access to all this stuff.
I say this as someone who plays like mostly PC games right now. You do not need one if you are not super into this. Like if you are like, I only play whatever Microsoft has, or like even if like you said, I don't want anything complicated. Like if you're not willing to do that, don't get one.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so sort of to Lou's point, not to argue for him, I don't think Microsoft cares that you buy a console.
No, they want you to get Game Pass. That's the main.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like they care about, and this is where my tech geekery comes in. Like Satya Nadella said that from like day one, from the day that he took over at Microsoft. He cares about services. That's what he cares about because that's where the money is. Services are the main driving force of his time at Microsoft. And Xbox's success can be summed up in a couple of words, but one of them is definitely going to be Halo and Xbox Live, and then Game Pass. So like Xbox is eventually shifting over to being very service heavy. Is not. It's not news. It's what they were gonna do eventually. Like they're putting the ability to play Xbox games on TVs through streaming. You know, it'd be interesting if like a company like, I don't know, like a Google decided to do that at some point. It's too bad that they never have.
That shit pisses me off so much. On the streaming thing, like I personally don't see a future where that is the main way to play games, but like for them to be the forerunner of that is very important because like
it says a lot because they're gonna cement themselves in a way that's gonna be very important. And
like I don't honestly do not think Sony has to kind of do the same thing. Like they could be the alternative to that, but at the same time, like Sony could benefit from having a light service. Like PS Now is fine, I guess. I don't use it. It's kind of shitty because you have to be online to play the games and stuff like that. And they need at least a Game Pass equivalent, and that's all they really need.
Well, that's part of the issue I can see between Sony and Microsoft here is that like I imagine Microsoft will be doing the same thing, but Sony's charging like $70 for a game for the PS5, and you can go over to Game Pass, and if it's a Microsoft game, get it day and date basically for $15.
Yep.
And that is a ridiculous value proposition, and I don't understand how Sony hasn't been like, ah, fuck. And even bigger than like all the things with Game Pass is the fact that they're finally worked out the bugs and they're bringing it to iOS, and like being able to mirror stream or whatever to your iPad or your phone or whatever and play Xbox games is huge. Like oh, go ahead.
Like I bought my phone like on the preference that I could probably like load up Halo on my phone right now if I wanted to. Like that is and like that is probably the biggest thing Xbox has going for right now is like they're the studio that's doing that. And Sony might come out with a Vita 2 at some point, probably not, but
I mean, Sony didn't have to worry until this week where we're hearing that Xbox is growing like exponentially in Japan right now.
Oh, really? I didn't hear anything about that.
Yeah, they're having
I imagine
record
that has something to do
numbers
with crossplay and how Sony
Yeah.
is being very difficult about it.
Yeah.
Well,
With everyone having like mobile is very a big thing in Japan, so I bet the prospect of being able to play Halo on your phone is very appeasing to that market.
Yeah. Which is why I could see Sony very much taking more of a back seat, I guess. Like I think that they're gonna cave on crossplay at a certain point.
They will be bullied into like doing crossplay eventually.
Well, because there's a lot of factors in that. They are still, I don't know if they're the number one distributor of Android products in Japan, but I think they're at least number two. Because they still have a huge technology hold over Japan. You can still buy like fucking Walkmans in Japan, brand new.
Oh hell yeah!
Among other things.
Yes.
Yeah. So like them sort of taking more of a back seat and not worrying so much about being the ones who sell you the games and sell you the services and building the tech feels like a natural direction where you can play games on any service through Xbox or whatever, but it comes to your PlayStation. More of a PC experience with video games, which feels like that's where that's been going for a while. Where it's just a system. You're just buying the system. You're not so much paying for a brand or an ecosystem with systems. You're just paying for the hardware, more or less.
Yes, you're paying for essentially the machine that lets you play the software. Like that's it's like people like exclusives are important. It's like at this point with Game Pass, exclusives are becoming less and less important because now it's like, okay, well I can play more games on Xbox for like $15 a month than I can. Like I'll pay $70 on my PS5, and I love my PS5, but like it's a better value proposition to just get a Series X at the moment.
Well, yeah, I mean, and that's my thing is like I've had exclusively Xboxes since the PS3 I had died, and well, it didn't even die. It's I couldn't get past a certain point in Skyrim because it was bugged out. So it's like I'm done with this system forever, and bought myself another 360, and then I've gone to Xbox the whole time, and I'm not like, well, it's because Microsoft is better. It's just this is the ecosystem I'm in. So with this E3 showing all the stuff that Microsoft is doing, I'm like, all right, well, I guess that answers that problem. Because I'm not going to search out a PS5 just so I can. Mind you, I want to desperately, and I would kill every single one of you to be able to play Spider-Man right now. But I'm not going to do that because I only have so much time on this earth, and I can't play every game that comes out. So it's just like, all right, well, I hear it's good, but I'm going to miss out on it. Oh well. Like I want to play the new God of War desperately too, but outside of that,
are you willing to pay $70 for it? Like that's
that's the other thing.
But
It's a
Eric, are
huge
you
thing.
willing to blame Alana Pierce because she is a celebrity, and because she's a name that you know, and blame her for the game being pushed back? Is that what
Because
you're
she's a
willing to do,
woman.
Eric?
Exactly. You beat
Well,
me
yeah,
to
she's
it.
a woman.
Yeah.
She's a woman, so yeah.
She doesn't have that power. Wait, what game are you talking about that she's getting blamed for pushing
So
back? Or
She writes for
Alana is
yeah.
she writes for Sony Santa Monica. That's her
Yeah, she
current
works at
gig.
Sony Santa Monica now. So she
Wearing God of
officially got
War.
her
Yeah.
yeah, so
okay,
she was blamed for God of War being pushed back. People gave her
Yep.
death
And
threats and all the
they
normal
were
stuff.
they were using some rather colorful language, saying that she wishing she was let's say hacked by several people of ill repute uh in a gang fashion.
okay.
Ah, yes,
Gotcha.
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Hey, the internet, it was all a mistake.
Like
Yeah.
Burn it
you're
down.
correct,
honestly,
Connor.
like fucking like the joke about the women aside, fuck you if you do that. Honestly,
Yeah.
Mhm.
that shit.
Yeah, no,
sucks.
if you
Don't do that.
participate in that, yeah, just like as we've been saying in the chat many times over the past few weeks, go touch some grass. Go drink a
Go
glass of
touch some
water.
grass.
Well,
Go touch a
that's
See the
titty,
sun.
preferably consensually.
yeah. Please, consensually. I guess that's the other thing is like I'm too old to give a shit about like no I'm a Sony guy or I'm a Microsoft guy or whatever. It's just like
Mhm.
this is what
Yeah.
I like, this is what I know, this is what's easy. Like I'll
Right.
just continue to go with that.
Yeah. Fewer complications as possible until you die. Right. Yeah, I get it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Which could be any day now.
Yeah.
But yeah, outside of Game Pass, like I am so intensely curious to see what Starfield is gonna be. Like
NASA punk.
I have no idea what to expect. Like, is it going to
Me
be a little
neither.
bit? Is it going to be a little bit more like simmy, or not simmy, but like, is it going to be more along the lines of like a No Man's Sky, where you have like resource whatnot? Or go ahead.
Todd Howard has come out and said that it's the most hardcore Bethesda RPG yet. So I'm hoping that means that it's more stat based instead of like
Okay.
perks.
Okay, I could 100% be into that. Because
I just
Mhm.
I just want to return to form. I want to go back to the Oblivion era like Bethesda game.
I don't know. I never got super into. Well, no, Oblivion. I did. Oblivion was the one right before Skyrim, right?
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Well, then, yeah, I would be okay with that because I remember being completely blown away by Oblivion when I first played it.
I just am so excited for this game. And then after that,
Yes.
Elder Scrolls 6.
Yes.
Give it to me.
Yes.
Go back and play Oblivion now, though, and you're like, what the fuck?
Oh, dude, I am a crazy person who have put like 300 hours into Oblivion.
Oof.
That game hasn't aged well, but also it's so good.
It's good, but I feel like they didn't do enough quality control with that because
They didn't.
the last time I played it, like I'd leveled up my character to a point where like all the enemies I was running into were able to kill me easily, and there was no way for me to actually level up anymore unless I wanted to go into like a safe area and just jump for like 4 hours to build up my skill levels.
So the thing that you would do in that game is like if you wanted to like upgrade your athletics or like the one that when you just have to move is you take a rubber band and you get your 360 controller and wrap it around so you're just walking the wall and then leave your 360 on all day and you'll hit max level by the end of the day.
That's insane.
Yeah.
That seems like such a bad idea. It just
it
like,
sucks. Don't recommend it.
You need some sort of organic leveling and like, hey, enemies will be at a higher level in certain areas because you're not supposed to go there yet, or they'll be higher level, and if you can get past them, cool. But yeah, that was my big problem with Oblivion. Everything else I liked about it, like going into the Oblivion gates and all that shit, but just no, it got to a point where it's like, oh cool, there's these things just popping up out of nowhere that kill me in like 3 hits. I can't deal with this game anymore. I'm done. I'm sorry, Patrick Stewart.
I'm sorry I let you die.
I'm sorry I disappointed you and your dead ghost.
Well, yeah. And,
Yeah.
and Redfall looked cool. I mean, it's a game. So I was looking at the website for that game, and like it takes place in Massachusetts. So I really, really want there to be like drunk Bostonians all over that game.
Are the power ups going to be OxyContin?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
There's going to be opioids everywhere.
Is there going to be a Duncan?
Yes,
We'll
there'll
go.
be several Duncans.
Cool, bro. Let's
You
go
can
get
blow
some
it up.
Duncan, bro.
But yeah, I'm excited for that game.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, outside of that,
what about you? What about you? You got anything you want to talk about? Like,
I mean, that's like I said, like Microsoft was the thing I was most interested in, and it paid off for all of my hope for it, because I mean, fucking dropping Like a Dragon on the same day that they announced it, being on Game Pass, like Hades finally coming to fucking Xbox. I'm so happy. The Nintendo one, like, it was very safe. Like, there was some cool stuff announced, especially Metroid, but it was just very much like, hey, here's all the stuff that you really like. We'll put out another one of them. Aren't you happy? We're Nintendo.
Connor. So they announced Kazuha from Tekken for Smash, right? And guess what his trailer is?
Oh God, what?
It's just like 4 minutes of him dropping all the Smash characters into a volcano.
Yeah.
They know.
Yeah, it's great.
That is amazing.
It's so good.
Yeah, when he drops the one guy from Arms in the volcano, wasn't that the name of the Switch game, Arms?
Yeah, he drops Min Min into the volcano.
Yeah, and their arm is stuck around his leg, and he's like, ugh, and has to kick it off while they're falling into the volcano.
That's fucking fantastic.
It was so good.
At one point, he drops Kirby in, and like he just looks down, and Kirby's like floating in the background. It was so good. Like they knew exactly what they were doing.
Yeah. I mean, but outside of that, like, I mean, I don't have a Switch, so I'm not really super invested. But like, all right, cool, a new WarioWare game. That's awesome. Like, but outside of that, I couldn't get super excited outside of Metroid. Like, everything else from Nintendo is just like, oh, that's very much just pandering to their crowd.
Yeah, and I'm totally not going to buy a bunch of that. So yeah,
hasn't worked on me, no sir.
Nope, it never will. But yeah, that's really all I had to say about E3.
Yeah.
Unless anyone else has any thoughts.
I don't have any expanded thoughts on it because I didn't really watch it, so I can't really comment.
No, my younger sibling says I'm going to be gifted their Switch because they're buying the new one. So that'll be interesting.
The one that's totally real.
Yeah, that one that hasn't been announced at all. Yeah, okay.
A totally real thing that's gonna happen.
Yep.
Yeah.
Have an OLED screen and everything. Yeah, it's gonna.
Right.
It's gonna make your parents get back together. It's gonna
multiple USB-C ports. So yeah.
It's gonna make some sauce for your stepfather.
Some sauce.
Connor, it'll get you back your favorite cup from when you were a kid and make sure it doesn't smell like vodka.
Booze can't be poured into it.
Exactly. Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. Anything else anybody wanted to bring up, or are we good for the evening?
I think that's it. I think that's it, gentlemen.
Okay.
And Erik.
Yeah, you know.
Oh, Snappy got you.
I know. Burn. I'll need some ointment. Does anyone have any salve?
I don't even know what that is. I'm kidding. I know what a salve is.
An unguent, an ointment.
Better call Saul.
A tincture or an ampule for me.
Someone get me an aloe vera plant.
Get it out of your shelf with a million small little drawers.
I need to be bled by leeches.
I'll just drink like a gallon of laudanum.
Hunter jumped back 1,000 fucking years. God damn it. All right.
So I guess extras.
Yeah. I guess we should do plugs and all that stuff. or we can just say fuck it and end it here. I don't know. What do we want to do?
Let's do plugs because I got some plugs.
Yeah, you do. Which is fantastic. I don't because I'm still working my way back to Movie Dumpster. I'm upgrading my audio setup, so
yeah.
coming back in at like July-ish.
Okay.
Fuck
Yeah.
yeah.
What does that involve? Or new microphone, new computer?
I'm getting a room divider to drape some moving blanket over, and then I'm gonna get another one for the floor and maybe some stuff on the wall, and just kind of make like a booth.
Oh fuck yeah!
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. And it can still be interrupted by dogs coming in who demand your attention.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
Coming in, no, but yes, I'll hear them all the fucking time.
Yes.
So yeah, let's go to the plugs. Sorry, I no one was going, and I just immediately jumped in.
No, I don't have anything to plug because it seems like we're in sort of a down spot. I think Erik on my show is I think he's busy. So no Los Haro podcast updates at the moment. But listen to back episodes. Listen to champion record holder Hunter Davenport on his mini appearances.
That's right.
And listen to our James Bond stuff because we're gonna be coming back there soon. So yeah.
Hunter.
Yeah, check out Comedy Club every Sunday. So I got it up and running on iTunes. iTunes was fighting me all week. Apparently it does not like it when you leave boxes empty on their submission page. And
Nope. No, they do not like it.
They don't like real impressed with Apple, really.
Yeah. Apple is run by people who don't curse, don't drink, and they've never said a bad thing about anybody in their life, apparently.
Nope.
If I'm to interpret the things that they've sent to me in emails about titles of podcasts that used to be on the podcast network. Anyways, your plugs. I'm sorry, but I had to get that out there.
Yeah, so I just added a co-host to Comic Club. His name's Frank. I've known Frank for like several years now, and it's the first time I've ever recorded a podcast in person, and that's fucking weird.
Oh wow!
And that's a lot of editing I had to do, because when you're in person, there's a lot of background noise. So yeah, look forward to that. Follow Comic Club on social media. I am willing to break my no social media clause for Comic Club.
Oh man,
it's Comic Club Podcast on Twitter. Go find the tweets.
You were
Other than
replaced by
that,
a pod person, weren't you?
Yeah, I was actually. I'm not real.
No, that's not possible. They can't replicate his height.
No.
It would yeah. It exists outside of their constraints for replicating a person. They would need to replicate another pod person to fill in to those two pod people have to combine. Yeah.
I'm just guessing. I'm guessing the disciples of the Church of Davenport have sacrificed their bodies to create a secondary one just in case Hunter needs it.
Yes. It's all going according
yes,
to
they
plan.
have. Yeah, they believe wholeheartedly, and they were okay with their decision. Yeah.
Well, they didn't have a choice.
Right. As in most classic cults, it was
exactly. They were given the illusion of choice. I'm Erik Fedorchak. You can find me at Erik_Fedor on Instagram. There's just dogs and fat. Yes, just dogs and fat. Just buckets of lard.
Dogs and just fat. Just raw fat. Just
dogs and cats and food and comics. I'm floating around the Phantom Zone. You can also find my other Instagram, which is young_Kame, which you can send me pictures of EF parties and tell me about how Nintendo is terrible and about how podcasts about video games are boring and redundant. And the thing I wanted to open with was so what does a robot do after a one-night stand?
Oh boy.
I hate this.
Wow.
It nuts and bolts.
So anyway,
Somewhere-
podcast is over.
Somewhere
Oh,
Valis
yes.
is angry at you, and he's torturing Philip K. Dick for it.
He's
So
gonna shoot
how
you with
dare
a
you?
pink information beam.
Oh, so you mean I'll just be schizophrenic and high on all types of pills?
Yes.
Cool. All right. Yes.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
As is the end for all sentient beings. Bye.
Later, guys.
Bye, everybody. I guess that joke doesn't really work because why would the robot after?